the flame, the shelter, the spear. Ever since primitive man crawled out of the caves and started looking to the forest for sustenance, we have built a relationship with it, ensuring our survival as a species. From fueling our fires to providing homes, the wood that surrounds us is more than roots, trunks, branches, and leaves. It is the block of clay and the empty canvas, both of which are filled with seemingly infinite possibilities. Though just as important as the forest uses is its conservation. No one knows or respects this symbiotic relationship better than woodworker and Pennsylvania native Jacob Makin.
So, my business is called Ragamuffin Designs. It's based on the principle that we're all here through grace and grace alone. This life is a gift. Just like each of the pieces that I build and the material used in them, they're all a gift. And a ragamuffin is an imperfect being, and I love the imperfections that I go and seek out in each piece of wood. And so, what better thing to name it than Ragamuffin Designs, because the job opportunity is only here through grace. It's really been a blessing, and as is the material. How they grow together. If you can get two trees that are growing together, that's phenomenal. It's hard to find them both dead though. So I don't take any live trees down, and that's because they still have so much more of a life left in them, and that'd be like taking a life. So what I look for is a dead standing tree or a tree that's been downed, and then you also tend to see that the weather will cause different unique patterns to start to form on that, and designs to start to emerge. Those, I feel like, when you take a live tree, there's no opportunity for that to occur. So, well, that, and you're stopping it just dead in its tracks right there. And so going after anything that's already been down is really what I'll go for.
Ever since his youth, Jake has been learning from the forest relentlessly. Most of what he knows is simply from trial and error, or from what he has learned from his grandfather, who also has an inherent sense of unity from the forest. Jake's methods are rough cut and even somewhat primitive, yet even in this day of age, still very effective.
If you knock on the wood too, you can get a better feel, like it sounds differently when you knock here. More hollow here, you can see where the termites and bugs were eating through. So it's a little bit more hollow up in that area, but not something I'd use for structural integrity. Yeah, it just snapped probably in a big storm. Gets really, really windy up here, so you get more down trees because it's on the crest of a mountain. End up getting a lot of wind coming from actually that direction is usually where the storm fronts come in, so it'll get a lot more blown over trees. But it's always cool, like especially up and around here, you'll see that these roots will actually grow in and around the rocks. And so if you can get some of these toppled over trees, you actually get the rocks, or like right here, this is a rock. You can't tell, but that's probably years and years and years of growth around that before I was even a thought. It's just amazing to me. But yeah, what's nice about that is it's already dried out for me. So when I go out foraging for stuff like this, if you find a dead tree, you don't have like a 6 to 12 month drying time. So you can turn those around a little bit quicker, which is nice, especially when you're starting out. But yeah.
As of right now, due to the budget he is on and his lack of current tools, Jake carries or drags whatever he can by hand to transport his selected pieces, sometimes hiking miles away from his vehicle before coming across a piece to his liking.
Settled in the mist, adventure surely coming. Thunder sound is rumbling, lightning crack away. All the horses take the plains, we travel through the mountains. Gather through the valley.
He's a cool looking guy. So some of the different cuts that I'll do, I'll cut against the grain, and that's when you'll see like a 4 or 5 foot log that I'll have sitting about head height. And what I'll do is I'll actually take the chainsaw and then run down it, and that'll give me thick, rough cut slabs. And those slabs, I actually have some drying here in my garage, but those I'll be able to use for tables or benches or a whole handful of different items, shelving units. And so that's one of the main cuts that I'll use whenever I'm going to tackle a big log. Another one, what I'll do is I'll actually take that log and flip it on its side, and then you cut down, and what you'll get are nice little cross sections, and where you can see the whole pattern from beginning to the end of all the years that tree has been in existence. And so you really get some beautiful, really beautiful patterns and design work on that. So it just depends on what is actually present on the log, whether you'll have any tree warts, as people call them, or any other imperfections. So you kind of got to look at the piece and then determine whether you want to cut against the grain or with it. And so it's really pick your poison there. Depends on what you're going for. Those are really two of the main cuts that I'll do, at least at this point in the ball game. So these are some of the long cuts. These are against grain, so they'll wear the chainsaw out a little bit more than coming long ways. So you come down like this, and you can get real nice rough cut slabs. And that's what I'll use for the benches or some of the tables. Or I'll get pieces like this. I actually have a piece back in my shop that I cut, and it came down at this angle right here. And so what you'll see is an opening right here. You can actually wire a lamp through there. And so through there, it actually, on my piece, it's burrowed the whole way down through, but I cut it right here, and it will be a piece about this size. And that's a really beautiful design on the inside, just because of the way that the branch grew out of the center of the tree. So some of the techniques that I'll use and methods that I'll use once the wood is all dried out and ready to rock. So I'll take that. Can use either I have a hand planer that I may use. I have a friend's that I'll borrow, or actually take a sander or a grinder and have a sanding disc on it, and that'll really blast away the rough cut that'll be left from the chainsaw. I tend to have to be creative with the lack of tools that I do have. Now it really depends on the piece, so I may have some piece that the client would love a rough cut, and so I won't have to do really any sanding, maybe just take the top edge off, still leave some of the imperfection, but yeah, so that's really a cut and dry piece there, where you just cut and let it dry and put it together. So to give you an idea of the process, kind of breakdown of how I'd go about tackling a piece, what I would do, if you can envision it, this would actually be a whole log, just a portion of a tree. And so what I'd do then is then take the chainsaw and cut down against grain this way. And so what you'll see is highly imperfect cuts. I'm no professional, and this was just a practice piece whenever I was starting. So I would then cut this down, and what I'll get out of it is actually this slab right here. And this is also one of my early cuts, as you can see, a lot of imperfections. But yeah, so this is one of my main cuts, and this will take a minute or two to make that cut going long ways. So it takes a fairly lengthy period of time to end up actually cutting a nice thick piece. But what you'll get out of it then at the end is a smooth finished piece like this. This just has like an easy top coat, wax base on top. So it's super smooth. I would have taken the sander to it, blasted out any of these cut marks, and then come back through and then smooth it out up to like 220 grit sandpaper, and then top coat. So that's where I would get the top for this. Now the base, as you can see, is kind of a little bit different. It's more unique. What I did was actually I found a piece of tree. It was hollowed out on the inside, and so what I did was I had a couple different pieces that were cut. I couldn't use them as a whole, so I decided to make them bench legs. And what I did was just cut long ways down here and try to even them up, keep them about the same height, depending on how the board is shaped underneath. And from there, just secure them onto the bottom, and then you have your legs. It gives it a real nice, unique feel.
One thing we can observe from Jake's understanding of the forest is that while others see a pile of dead sticks, he sees untapped potential towards the creation of something never seen. This mindset attributes to the special care and attention each piece receives, thus ensuring something that is just as unique as it is genuine.
What I'd love people to know most and feel the most about this is my passion, and just the joy that I find in that. And that's really what I want to impart on somebody else, is that it's more than just a piece of furniture that's sitting in your house, because that's really what things have become. It's an object, it's a price tag, there's no story behind it, there's no character. They're mass-produced items with no uniqueness that are shipped here, and you take them out of bubble wrap, and it's what 4 other people down in your neighborhood have. And so each piece that I'll be able to put out, there's a story behind it. There's blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into it from start to finish, whether it was my story of actually going out and finding that wood and lumber, or whether it was the tree's story long before I was ever in existence and around. So there's years upon years of character that are built up through each piece, and it's nice to be able to then provide that and gift it to somebody or sell it to them. But that's what I want them to feel, is the story and the character behind it.